and what this means for you as a home buyer. If we haven't met, my name is Chelsea Winstead. I am a home financing strategist and a mortgage broker. My goal is to give you the rundown on like what is happening in the country, specifically in different states, give you just information that helps you make more confident decisions in your home buying journey. I am actively working on getting licensed in 49 to 50 states minus New York, but we're gonna talk about Georgia today specifically because my last like 6 calls that I've had over the past 2 days have all been people out of Georgia. And so I'm kind of making this for them, but a benefit for you if you're watching this is that you can take this information specifically, again, if you are looking to buy in Georgia. P.S. I am licensed in Georgia. So if you, after this video, want to have a conversation to figure out what maybe could realistically home buying could look like for you, reach out. Okay, so let's talk about like just what's happening in the market. The market definitely has shifted, not crashed and not exploded, but shifted. So if you've been sitting on like the fence wondering, you know, like whether now is the time to buy, let's kind of get into the numbers and we're going to talk through pricing, inventory, days on market, and ultimately what this means for you as a buyer. All right, so right now, Georgia's median home price is sitting around $380,000. This is up about 2% compared to last year. So we are not seeing like huge jumps in Georgia, like overall, but prices are still climbing, not falling. Specifically in the Atlanta metro area, average is closer to about $478,000, which a big piece of this is that, you know, zip codes have a lot to do with affordability and just the price difference on what's on the market. Okay, so statewide, new listings are up for about 12%. This is for a buyer and just buyers in general. You know, this is helpful for you because what causes pricing wars, bidding wars, and just super inflated home prices is when inventory is super low. So the fact that we are seeing listings up by 12% is really good. This means you're going to have a little bit more breathing room. Here's the other thing. Homes right now are sitting on the market around 55 to 67 days. And so if you were in the point, or if you were looking a couple years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, you know, homes are flying off the market, all cash offers like within days. And so the reality is that now that homes are sitting between 55 and 67 days, what this means for you is that you're going to have way more leverage as a buyer when it comes to negotiation. Yeah, people list their homes because they need to sell them, right? So when we have homes sitting for this long, if you're a seller, you're probably like, oh, it's me. They're going to be more open to negotiations because if the home is listed, it means they need to sell it. So in your scenario, this often means that you can either, you know, come in at a lower purchase price, not like offensively low if the home doesn't have a bunch of like major issues, but you can often come in at a price point that your agent recommends, that you know, will still open up a conversation, and or you can get your seller to help cover some of your closing costs when homes are sitting on the market for this long. So because of this, specifically for buyers, this really feels right now like an opportunity and not a trap. I've talked to people who, you know, when you're buying in the thick of those like crazy bidding wars, you're not like, people were just like straight up spending crazy money and sight unseen. And so we're in a totally different position now where you can go look at the house, you can look at it again, you know, you can take your time to make a decision. And I think that just creates a more neutralized environment for you to be able to purchase, which I think is a big deal. Okay, so specifically, let's talk about some like local spots. So in Atlanta Metro, we see these areas kind of have stayed hot. So like Alpharetta, Roswell, parts of Cobb County, families a lot of the time move to these areas for both the schools and for the job opportunity. Like that's a huge element of this. However, outside of the metro, so places like Savannah, Augusta, Columbus, these get attention because the prices are more approachable than like metro Atlanta. But ultimately, you know, it depends on what you're looking for. Like I have literally 3 buyers right now. One's in Atlanta Metro, one is in Augusta, and one is in Savannah, and they're all there for different reasons. So truly, it just depends on what are you looking for and like what do you need as far as like a location, which then dictates what parts of the state you're looking in. This is like one of the biggest things though. The question is always, you know, like when is the right time to buy? And I think in everyone's mind, the best time to buy ever is when prices are low and interest rates are low. That time, y'all, was 2020, you know, just a lot has changed. Prices are now higher, and there's no data to essentially prove that they're going to bottom out. The reality is that 55 to 60 day time on market that you're seeing, that's proof that there's cooling, but there's no crashing. Okay. So again, the longer a home sits on the market, the more leverage and negotiation you likely have when it comes to submitting an offer on those homes. But the big thing is always like, there's never a perfect time. The people that should have bought in 2020 also didn't